Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Abdullah Konte here with another episode of Win Sports. The draft is 2 days away, man. There's a lot of information going out. It's been very confusing. I mean, a lot of contradictory kind of posts. A lot of things are that being said by guys that are supposedly in the know. At ESPN, at The Athletic, where it's just kind of contradictory all over the place. It's just clear, I think, that no one really knows what's going to go down. This organization is known to not really tell a lot of secrets, not tell a lot of people what's going on or what's in their mind. We've seen a lot of moves that have been a surprise. I mean, last year's Josh Connerly pick was a surprise to a lot of people. I think most people thought they would be going to edge, didn't really think that they'd be going lineman after that trade for Laramie Tunsil, and then they go with Connerly, move, Brandon Coleman to guard. For those who assume or think that they know what's going on here, I don't think anybody does, but that being said, I still want to kind of put my guess out there. I've done this series before a few times, 7 for 7 players for that seventh pick. And basically, it's coming down to the wire, man. Like, things I think are kind of, I don't know if it's getting clearer, but I think that there are people that just seem more likely to be there, to be at that spot. And so essentially I like to go with this list. And it's not, for those who've never watched me make this video or whatnot, it's basically a video of talking about who is potentially going to be that pick at number 7. And it's not about who is their favorite person or who's the best person. It's more of a combination of things. Who's the guy who's most likely to be there, who is the guy that we're hearing the most about, that maybe fits their team the best, and it's just kind of like a ranking of who is like the most likely candidate for that spot, right? I think the last one I did, it was Jeremiah Love. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be Jeremiah Love at number 1. And for a lot of reasons, right? There's a lot of buzz about Jeremiah Love going even as early as number 3, which I think is crazy for the Cardinals to do. I still think that's kind of a smokescreen to build interest in that number 3 spot. I think they do want to trade back. But yeah, I mean, essentially, there's just a lot of talk about a lot of different prospects. So many people are saying that this team loves about 3 or 4 guys. There's some people who say they love Downs, some people say they don't like Downs. Same thing, with Sonny Styles. Some people are like, oh, he's the guy. Some people are like, even with Jeremiah Love, there was a report yesterday that said if Styles and Love are there, they're more likely to go Styles than Love, which I think is kind of crazy. I wouldn't do that, but at the same time, there's a lot of talk about them being in love with Styles, and it's just kind of a little odd to me because they're pretty good at not telling people a lot of stuff. So for those who are saying they know, we'll see, right? Like, we'll see what happens. So basically, to start this video off, I always like to do kind of like an honorable mention of 3 guys just to kind of round out to 10 players overall. And the 3 guys are generally guys that they would probably be more of trade back people. And the guys that I have this week are Ruben Bain, Mekhi Lemon, and Dylan Thieneman. With Ruben Bain, I mean, I think he's just really talented, and I think that people are really overlooking his ability because of the short arms thing. So I think that he is probably going to slide. I think he could be somebody that, say they trade back to 9 or 10 or 11. Could he still be there? Could they be of interest of him? I love Ruben Bain. I think the arms thing is a little crazy. It kind of reminds me, I know this is a little hyperbolic, but it kind of reminds me of, the way people viewed Aaron Donald when he was coming out of Pittsburgh. He came, and people were kind of, he was a dominant player in college, but people were kind of underwhelmed by some of his measurables. But I mean, he ended up being the best defensive tackle maybe any of us have ever seen. I just feel like Ruben Bain, the tape says he's a good player. I know there's the off the field issue with the accident, which is another reason why he could fall. So could they be in interest in him? Is he a Commander's tag type player, or would they just be like, we're going to pass that? I don't know. Mekhi Lemon, there was a correlation. I think it was Louis T who was talking about it. I can't remember who exactly, but they mentioned about the fact that he, Mekhi Lemon plays so much like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and with Blau, who was connected to Detroit in that offense at one point, could he be the guy that they might be targeting if they traded back? I like Mekhi Lemon more of a trade back candidate. I would be kind of like surprised if they picked him at 7, but he is somebody who is extremely hard to tackle, has a lot of yak yardage. I know his RAS score was not very good, which is why I'm not sure if we know Adam Peters loves those very, very athletic guys, so I don't know if he's in that list. And then Dylan Thieneman, if they were to trade back, I love Downs. Everybody knows I love Downs, but the gap between Downs and Thieneman is not that much. And Thieneman is a true free safety. He is all over the field. We saw him run a 4.3 at the combine, so he can run, covers ground, true free safety. For those who are not so sold on Quan Martin, this would be a great addition to this team. If they were to trade back, get some picks, and then still get Thieneman, that would be a big win to me. So let's get into the top 7. Like I said, these are guys that it's more about if they're going to be there and the love for the team, if there's a fit for them on the squad overall. And so for that 7th spot, basically I kind of have a combination of David Bailey / Arvell Reese, and it's really just because I don't think these guys are going to be there, right? Like, these are the guys that are very much at the top of the draft. Now, there's a small possibility that they could fall and drop, and I think they would take either one of these guys if they somehow drop to that 7th spot. I think they're just dynamic pass rush players that they wouldn't really hesitate if these guys got here. I think these are like the wild card options that are kind of like, hey, if they're there, just grab them. They don't even think about it. I know that they made some additions on the D-line with Minihue and Caleb Chason and Owe, but, Owe's the only one that's on a long-term deal. So, if they were able to get one of those guys, those are blue-chip players that I think that they wouldn't even care. They would just do it, right? So that's easy. Number 6 I have is Jordan Tyson. And look, I think that Jordan Tyson should be higher on this list. I think that they're just more in love with Carnell Tate when it comes to the receiver. But Jordan Tyson, and also with the a lot of talk about the Giants being enamored with Jordan Tyson, that he might not make it past 5. But personally, I feel like if you're really trying to help Jaden, at the receiver position, Jordan Tyson makes the most sense. This guy, the separation that he has, his ability to create space, his ability to go up and get the ball, like, he's fast, he goes up for it. His injury history is scary. I mean, I will admit that is the part that really, really worries me, is that he gets injured quite a bit. But at the same time, man, like, I mean, if you really wanted to take a chance on talent, I think he is the most talented receiver, easily the most talented receiver in this draft. But I just don't know how much they're in love with him. And it just seems like if they were going to get a receiver at 7, it sounds like more like if Carnell Tate's there, they would go with Tate instead. Number 5, I have Mansour Delane, the corner out of LSU. He played also at Virginia Tech. I love Mansour Delane. I think that he's actually, as much as he seems like a smaller guy, he's really aggressive. He's really on top of people. I know this is kind of like a weird comparison, but kind of plays kind of similar to me of how Marshawn used to play, like when he played in New Orleans, not the Marshawn Lattimore of this squad. He's like pretty aggressive for a smaller guy when it comes to his tackling ability, and just makes plays, like makes really smart plays. So I think that if they're going to go corner, if they're not so sold on Mikey, I mean, they brought in a Meek, they brought in a Killa Witherspoon, they have Trey Amos, but if they really are like, hey, you know what, let's just get the best player available, and they feel like he's that guy, or they feel like they really want to address the corner room, then I think that Mansour Delane would be that guy. So we'll go to number 4. This is where I have Jeremiah Love, and I know that this is kind of everybody's like number 1 want, including myself probably. I feel like if everybody was available, outside of like, Bailey and Reese, I feel like Jeremiah Love is the guy that everybody's hoping that would drop there. I think he's the one that impacts this team the most, especially on the offensive side. If you can get a guy who is equivalent to Bijan or, a Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, like one of those guys, this could really, really help the offense, especially since they're going to a more run-heavy offense. At least it looks like, more pro style. I think that just Jeremiah Love just doesn't seem like he's going to be there. There's just too much smoke about 3, 4, and 5. Now we're just hearing that if it's not 3, it's 4. If it's not 4, it's 5. Like, it's just, to me, I always kind of thought if he got past 4 at Tennessee, then he would have more of a possibility. But, I do think that the trade that the Giants made gives them the flexibility to take a chance on Jeremiah Love and still get another quality player to help out their defense or get a lineman if they feel like they need that. But personally, to me, I just don't see him making it. It's not about want or fit or need. I think all of those things, if he falls there, I think he's by far the choice, right? But I just don't think he's going to fall there. And it's more about just kind of the conversation in the last, if you asked me this on Sunday, I would have said Love would probably be higher on this list. But the last 24 hours, there's been so much talk about him in the top 5 that I just don't see how. And even 6, right? We don't know what Cleveland's going to do, but I could see somebody trading with Cleveland to come up and get him, whether that's the Rams or something. There was mentioned by Todd McShay that the Rams might be interested in moving up, mainly just because they might be in that F them picks mode again. There's just other teams that could potentially come up and be like, hey, we'll take a chance on this guy, right? My number 3 player is Caleb Downs, which hurts me because, everybody knows Caleb Downs is probably my favorite player in this draft, but it just doesn't seem like there's weird conflicting reports about Caleb Downs, right? There's some people who are saying that they love him. Some people are saying that they don't love him. There's just the quality of position thing. There's talks about the Giants taking him at 5. It's just weird. It's like people either love Caleb Downs or they're not so sold on Caleb Downs. And the talk is also that these teams are either in love with Caleb Downs or not so in love with him. I don't know. I think it's very possible that he'll be there at 7. Now, do they take a chance on him if he's at 7? Do they feel like they want to trade back? Do they feel like he is a quality person? Now, the only thing that I would say is that Jordan Schultz had a tweet, and I retweeted it at the time, and I liked it. And it was basically just a tweet that said, it was about that Top Golf visit, and it was just kind of random to me because there were so many prospects that they were meeting with, but he singled out Caleb Downs being like, hey, Washington met with Caleb Downs. The floor might be at 7 with him. And I just thought that was so interesting. But then we saw Tony Pauline, the next day be like, oh, they're not really into Downs that much. So it's like, who knows what they're talking about? Who's telling the truth? I got no idea. So Downs is my number 3 player. I think he's the most likely to be there out of everybody in this list. I think he's the most likely to be there. I just don't know if they will take him or not. Number 2, Sonny Styles, right? From everything we're hearing is that they're in love with Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles is the guy. That's the floor, 7. I think this is bigger on if Sonny Styles will be there, but people have been replaying that K Adams AP conversation, which I don't really think means that much because she asked directly about him. Is he going to say he doesn't like him? No. I mean, he's a quality player. I think if she would have asked about any of those guys, he probably would have been gushing about how much he liked that guy, right? They say a lot of Dan Quinn loves him. Todd McShay was saying that that's Dan Quinn's guy. He's more likely to take him versus pretty much anyone. I'm not the biggest Sonny Styles fan. I like Sonny Styles a lot. I still think he's probably a bottom of the top 10 player if it was me. There are other people I would take before him, even though I know that a lot of people have him viewed as a top 5 player. I feel like he's more of an 8 to 12 player. But that's just my opinion. But it does sound like they're really interested in him, and the need is there. The fit is there. I mean, with the fact that Bobby Wagner isn't on this team currently, the fact that they did invest in Leo Chenal, but do they have a green dot guy? I don't know if they have a green dot guy as of right now. Is Leo Chenal that green dot guy? I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get Sonny Styles. I would not be surprised if they bring Bobby back to be that green dot guy, because I'm just not sure if they have that, right? The only 2 guys in this top 10 that I feel like are for sure green dot guys for the defense are Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs. So, if that's what they're looking for to invest on getting that strong defensive presence, I think that Sonny Styles does a lot of great things. So I could see why he would be that fit, that person. And then my number 1 player, which has been a very interesting conversation with a lot of people is Carnell Tate, and the reason why the conversation's interesting is a lot of people don't love Carnell Tate, or they feel like he's more of a number 2 receiver. And I think just like me, I'm a big fan of Carnell Tate, but I wouldn't take Carnell Tate at 7. I think that I would more likely take Jordan Tyson at 7, even with the injury situation, versus Carnell Tate. But I also think that Carnell Tate is not far off. Like, I mean, if somebody took him in the top 10, that's not surprising. There's a lot of talk about Carnell Tate being taken by the Browns, but there's just been so much smoke of Carnell Tate being a player that they love. You know, he mentioned it at the combine. We saw them talking to him a lot at the pro day, probably talking to him more than any other player at the Ohio State pro day. There's just been a lot of interesting conversations about Carnell Tate and this squad. And then honestly, just the fact that like they don't have Ayuk, even though like there is this belief that Ayuk will be here. They didn't really address receiver much outside of De'Ami Brown in the offseason. Like they don't have a quality second receiver, and that was a huge problem last year, is that they didn't have quality receivers for Jaden Daniels. So even if they don't get a receiver at 7, they're probably going to get one at 71. So there is going to be a chance, and it's a deeper receiver class than a lot of these other positions. But there's just so much talk about Carnell Tate. There's an element of like, I think he'll be the only team I think that really is possibly going to take him is the Browns at 6. So I think he'll be there too. You know, I think I mentioned that Caleb Downs is probably the most likely to be there. I think it's him and Carnell Tate that are most likely to be there. And it sounds like if it is between Carnell Tate, Sonny Styles, and Downs, like it's more going to be a Tate versus Styles conversation. And I think that if Styles does go ahead, then it's just Tate, right? And I get it. He's not my favorite player on this list. I'll be honest. Like I like Carnell Tate a lot, and I think that's the one thing I feel like for the fan base is that like these are all quality players. If they get any of these guys, it's a great win. But there's some that people like more than others, and so to me, Carnell Tate seems like the guy that is most likely to be there, most likely for them to take. I'm kind of hoping that there's I just hope that the Giants don't screw up all the plans. Like if the Giants somehow get Love and Downs, I'll be devastated. I'll be crushed. So I'm kind of excited to see what's going on. What I will say is that, like, look, everybody have fun with these mock drafts and these discussions. No one really knows anything, or at least we're getting a lot of conflicting reports. It's lying season. I think we're just gonna have fun and see what actually goes down. I know there's a lot of people who talk about this draft not being so talented, but I think the drama with this draft is big because no one knows what's going on. No one knows what they're gonna do. But that's my take. So to go back with the list again, at 7 we had Reese/Bailey, 6 Tyson, 5 Delane, 4 Jeremiah Love, 3 Caleb Downs, 2 Sonny Styles. Number 1 player is Carnell Tate. This is the last one I'll do. We'll see what happens on Thursday. Thanks everybody for joining me. Thank you all for the appreciation on the channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon.